How's it going, guys? We are going to be making this very large, kind of sweeping design. For paid members, I released this tutorial here, but I wanted to show both styles. So you guys here, as free members, are going to get the sort of larger version of it. And so we're going to learn a little bit of geometry nodes, a little bit of texturing, and it's going to be really cool and really fun. So let's do it. So first off, we'll hit Shift A. We'll go here, get a plane, and head straight to geometry node. So I'm going to click New, and we'll delete the input, and we'll go ahead and get a grid, and we'll just plug mesh right into geometry, and then let's go ahead and give it a scale of like 10. There we go. We'll give it like 300 vertices. That's a lot, but its displacement, we want it to be really nice and perfectly smooth. So now let's get a set position node. We'll get a vector math node, and we'll plug here, and we'll go from add to multiply, and there we go. And we'll get a noise texture, and we'll just plug factor right into vector, and we'll give it a value of 1. So now we have some displacement. We'll click on normalize and bring that scale pretty high, and then that detail down. So the biggest thing that separates this animation here from this animation here is just the scale of the texture. And that is going to provide a lot of negative space for this to look really, really beautiful. Negative, dark sections is sort of the hallmark of what this is going to look good and why this is going to look good. So that is one of the bigger differences between these two animations. And also this animation has sort of a right to left looping movement. This one doesn't. So what I'm going to do is just give it a little bit of distortion. What that's going to do is if we switch the noise texture to 4D, it's going to be able to animate in a really organic, interesting way. And then we can bring that scale up a little bit more. So this is going to be your strength of the displacement. So there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and add a material to this first. Let's get a set shade smooth node, and let's go ahead and get a set material node right over here. I'm going to get it to be metallic and roughness down, something like that, and then we'll click it there. So there we go. Now we have a nice metallic material. So let's get some color into it. I'm hit the tilde key. I'm going to just go here to a front view and then get my camera, Control-Alt-0, snap that to view. And we're going to use, if you click on the camera, go here to the camera settings, we're going to go here to orthographic. And you can move it around and use your orthographic scale as well. Again, we want big sweeping movements. So when we're looking at the noise texture, we don't want this, right? We don't want that. There's a time and a place for that style, and it's not today. So big sweeping movements, and we will edit that as we go. So let's go here to shading and see where my camera's pointed. We want to get a plane to be right over here. So we're going to go here, mesh, plane, I'm going to hit RX90, and then I'm just going to move it somewhere over here and then scale it up. So now we can click new, and we're going to go here to cycles, and we're going to delete the principled, and we're going to get an emission node. So Shift A, search emission. There we go. Now we have this. I'm going to bring up here my geometry nodes workspace because I want to play with how it looks here. So maybe scale it up a little bit more so that we can see that. So as we're moving around, we get moments like this. So this is what I want to see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I want to see this. There we go. I just want to get more of the light coming through. So I'm going to click on the plane, bring this down a little bit, and let's go ahead and get a color ramp. Plug that into the color, and we're going to get a noise texture. With the Node Wrangler add-on enabled, I'm going to hit Control-T and go here to Object, and we're going to go here to Factor. Bring it down like that. And then World Brightness, click on the world here and bring that down to black. Bring up the strength. So now what we're doing is just adding a little bit of style. We're kind of creating our own light in a sense. So bring that scale up. And if you switch this to 4D, you can change the seed of where those reflections are coming from. So that's probably pretty good. Maybe bring up the scale a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now what I want to do is add some color to this. So the sort of normal way to do it is add color right here in the color ramp. So say we can get maybe like a nice color here, maybe like a nice teal. And then I want two colors to be in this. So we'll click plus here, bring it up, and maybe we'll get like a nice orange here. And then the problem is going to show up when I want more of this color to show. It's really dictated by the noise texture. So see how that's looking? If I bring the strength down, you can see a little bit more obviously. The color distribution, specifically the distribution of the color, is going to be determined by a gradient of from middle to out. You can see how that's working. So if I were to add another color, it would show up right here. And that's cool, but you can definitely see that behavior like right here. You can see how it starts teal, goes to kind of brown. That's great. It can be great. In this case, I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this brown kind of node, and I'm going to switch this back here to white. So we'll bring that strength back. So what I want to do is distribute color within these white globs that we created. It's pretty easy to do. What you can do is get a mix color node, switch this over, plug that into factor, and make this black. So now we're back. And now we can distribute a brand new texture within this white portion. We can call it like a mask. So what I can do is get another noise texture and another color ramp. And then we'll just plug the mapping into that color ramp. Let me say that noise texture, plug him here, plug him into B. So now we're getting more. So let's go ahead and select two colors that we want. So we'll just go back to that nice teal and that kind of brown orange like that. And so now what we're getting, if I bring that color back down, we can see more obviously. Now we're getting a really natural, and maybe not natural, but just different, right? We're just getting a slightly different distribution of color. So rather than it coming from the center of the texture going outward as the gradient allows, you can do anything you want. You can switch from 3D to 4D and actually distribute the color throughout this, and you get more control. And maybe not more control, just different control. So we'll bring up the strength, and now we have this. Pretty cool. Now what I want to do is add some lines on this metal for some texture, for some style. So I'll click on the metal. We're here in the shading. So click on that material. Let's go ahead and we'll get a normal map, plug this into the normal, and we'll get a wave texture. And I'm gonna hit Control T, object, plug that into color. I'm gonna get a bump node, plug normal into normal, and we'll get a wave texture. I'm gonna hit Control T, use object, plug color into height. So now we'll get that. I want to switch from X to Y so that it goes this direction. And then waves are too big. I want to get more of them. So we'll just bring up the scale, something like that. And then you can bring your strength down a little bit. So one thing I want to do, I'm gonna click here and go to Scene World, Scene Lights, just so we can kind of look at it more full. What I want is for some of this geometry to have wave and others just to be perfectly flat. I don't want the wave texture to affect every single thing. So one thing, the way we can do that is I'm gonna get a mix color node, and I'm gonna just plug him into B and make this black. And so what we can do is we can use a texture to mix between not seeing any texture at all and seeing the wave texture. So we'll use a noise texture to kind of make that look more natural. So what I can do is get a color ramp, plug that into factor, and we'll get a noise texture. And we'll just plug this factor into his vector, and we'll plug him here. And this is very important. Actually, we'll just crunch in this color ramp right now first so we can kind of see how this looks. So see, now we're getting a random distribution of the two. Very, very important, because we are animating this displacement in geometry nodes. When we move it around, this noise texture is just going to actually move around too. We want it to stay flat. And so you can switch this from 3D to 2D, and now it'll stay put when this animates. So this is a pretty ugly way of distributing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring these back like this, and I'm going to bring this in until we just get some of them, and we can actually bring the detail down to 0 and a scale of like 2. And so now we just get a subtle transition from seeing the waves and not seeing the waves. Something like this. So there we go. It's a very, very subtle effect. I do admit it might not even be noticeable, but I think it's cool. And then we can just bring our strength up to make it a little bit more obvious. And then we'll go back to scene world, scene lights. And now we can kind of enjoy it. Maybe bring the scale of the wave up a little bit. And maybe we can just kind of bring this, mess around with a little bit. So there we go. Let's go to geometry nodes and loop the animation and be finished. So I'm gonna go here and click on denoise. So here is the animation. It's gonna move around. It looks really cool. So let's loop that. So I'm gonna bring my W to 0. So bring your W to a value of 0. Let's get a mix color node. And then I'm gonna duplicate the noise and plug factor here. So because these waves are so big, you also kind of want the animation to be really slow. I'm going to give myself 400 frames. The slowness of the waves is going, the slowness of the motion is going to complement how big the waves are and how much negative space we're dealing with. So I'm also going to get a render region just for me. You don't need to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and animate this. So bring the factor to the left. We're going to go back to frame 0. I'm going to hit I on W, hit I on the factor, go to the very end, and I'm just going to type a value of 1. Bring this here, and then hit I on the W, go back to frame 0, and give it a value of -1. And that's honestly, that's way too slow. So we'll give it a value of 3. So we'll go back to frame 400, give it a value of 3 on the W, go back to frame 0, and give it -3 on the W. That's a little better. Okay, so let's just look at that and see how it looks. See if we need to change some things. So this is how we're looking. Yeah, this is really nice. We just get this huge, large, sweeping texture. We really want it to be just very fluid and very natural. And this is yeah, this is our final result. Not a big fan of these colors, to be honest with you, but you can always change that. So if you click on the plane, maybe switch this over to like a nice, ooh, that's nice. And then obviously like the really classic blue, you can do that as well. So this is our final animation, just kind of moves around and it looks beautiful. It looks cool. And it's very big, very stylized sweeping animation. So that's the whole point. Looks really beautiful. And that is how to do it. If you want to export it, I would highly recommend doing a PNG sequence. So go ahead and create a folder. And then right here, select that folder. I'm going to be rendering this at 300 samples. And then you can actually get all of your light bounces to 0. And that'll be the fastest render optimization. And this is how it looks with those render settings. So it's pretty sweet and it's really fast. For me, it was 2 seconds at 1080p. Render animation, and when you're done, you'll have something really cool like mine. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you can walk away with some new information, and I'll see you guys in the next one.